Carriers are officially moving away from being these weird off-meta mediocre ships to specific, fantastic, and yes, now good again. And we're going to talk about all the changes and include some fits you can use to get involved and yes, move around all of New Eden with ease. So if you want the best Eve guides, you came to the right place. Ladies and gentlemen, Loru here, digital advertiser, content creator, and Eve enjoyer for the better part of 10 years now. And before I get started, CCB Games, I beg you, fix capital ship lookings inside of a station. It's just the end of the Thanatos, and as much as I like to see a thick booty, it's where's the ship? I don't know. It's just somewhere there. You'll have to trust me. I am inside of a Thanatos. Pause. Ayo, this is going to be a video all about carriers and their changes. Massive changes, yes. Cheaper prices. Let's start there. These are now cheaper to make. Now, the initial estimations for the carriers and how cheap they are is about $1 billion ISK less on the materials. Mitsubishi materials. We're going to have to see how this actually gets into the market and see what the actual effects of this are. But the initial estimation is about $1 billion ISK less in terms of craftables. This, by the way, is the reason you have not seen carriers in the last couple weeks being on the market. Indeed, Thanatos and other carriers were closer to 9 and 8 billion ISK if you were trying to buy one out of Jeddah, because all of the people were waiting, they were holding, trying to see what the market was going to settle in once Catalyst launched. So you're going to see, in my opinion, the price spike in carriers in the next couple weeks because of their increased demand, because of all of the changes that we're going to get into in just a sec. And then you're going to see them settle down to cheaper where they were pre-expansion levels because of the recent changes and buffs to how much they were to cost. So in layman's terms, they're going to be more expensive and then they're going to be cheaper. So let's dive into what the actual big changes are. And these are big, massive changes. First, support fighters got buffed in general. Various increase in stats, various different things. We're going to cover all of those in just a moment. Not only were support fighters buffed, and carriers now have a special bonus. All carriers now have a new tube dedicated for support fighters. They used to have only 3 tubes. Now we have a 4th tube dedicated to support fighters. This is a big deal because back in the day, and look right here, you used to have to say, I want to get rid of 1/3 of my DPS to be able to put a support fighter in. No longer. Now you can maintain the levels of damage you have while you have a support fighter out. This means that every single time you PvP a carrier, they're going to have some form of support, some form of ECM, some form of E-War that they're going to use to come at you with. This is a big deal. And you can still use 2 support fighters. So not only can you choose, hey, I'd like to have my 4th tube be a support fighter. You can now say, hey, I want to be full support. I want 2 DPS and 2 support. You can have Sirens. You can have this is your warp scram. You can have webs. You can have point and newts, point and ECM. You can have double ECM. We're going to cover it. This is a massive change, and every single carrier pilot just got very excited because this means you don't have to have a fleet dedicated to support your carrier. They're not like a chore or something you have to babysit. Now it's something that is formidable in its own niche, away from dreads. And this was one of the main big things coming out of this, is that they are seriously pushing dreads to be the kings of bonk, the big DPS, whereas the carriers have more options, more support roles. There is more visuals. They have, every single carrier has an update to how it looks. We're going to cover how these look in space when we undock in just a moment. What these actual stat changes means. Carriers are good. Carriers are fantastic. Carriers do the work. Let me show you how an actual fit looks for carriers. But before I do that, as you all know, for Catalyst, we are doing big giveaways. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we did a bunch of big stuff in yesterday's videos. We had 3 massive giveaways in all of our Odysseus, mining ship, and mining rift videos. Those were big. This video is going to be no different. In celebration of Catalyst, I'm going to be giving away 1 of each carrier, baby. I've been stockpiling a Nid, an Archon, a Thani, and a Chimera. I always forget about that one. Maybe I won't anymore once we take it out into space. 4 of you are going to get 1 carrier, and here's how to enter in. The first thing you have to do is be subscribed to the channel. My bot's going to know If you're not subbed, then you'll be disqualified. The second thing is put in the comments of this YouTube video, say carriers for me in the comments. Super easy, type it in. And the last thing you have to do in that same comment is put your in-game name. So be subscribed to the channel, type in the key phrase carriers for me, and put your in-game name in that same comment. Don't miss out on billions of ISK and on the brand new fun because you didn't want to click a button and didn't want to type something in. And once you're done with that, pause this video, go enter in the other Catalyst giveaways we're doing. They're going to be done at the end of this week. You only have a couple days to check out those videos and enter in to get those billions and billions of ISK. Don't miss out on those giveaways. Let's get back to the video and undock and show you how good these carriers look. Let me show you how effective these buffs are while we also undock and show you some fantastic updated visuals to the various things. A lot of people were speculating on how much of a buff the support fighter things were going to be, how big of a deal this was going to be, how much of the game it was going to change. Well, I can tell you that it's going to be quite large. A lot of people are going to be very happy with the changes to carriers and how well they are doing. Let me show you, let me talk about it. Okay, so first, check this out, y'all. Look at the Thani. Look how beautiful it looks. Every carrier has a visual update, and you're going to see that inside of the actual tube, look at that. There's like spots for various things. Well, let me show you what that is. I'm excited to do this for the first time, y'all. Let's put the Sirens in. Let's put the Furbolgs in. Come on, load it up. Get in there. Go to the plus. Drag them in. Drag them in. And look. Check it out. Check it out. Can you see? You can see them getting loaded in as they come up slowly but surely. Look, they literally get loaded into the tube. You can actually see them getting ready to go on the carrier. It's like it's an actual aircraft carrier. Now, Pog. Fantastic. We love. Just say it. I need to get some more fighters so we can show you the rest. We'll put some more Sirens in. Sure, fine. Let's do that. So, really awesome. W on the visuals. Also, when you launch your fighters, if we click this guy and we go to launch all fighters, you can see they're actually see them getting launched off of the bay. Oh, I love that. It's important to understand that that animation does not stop your usability. So just because that is happening doesn't mean the fighters are going to take more time to, like, you know, come out of the bays. It's just a really cool visual. I love seeing it. Adds immersion. Let's recall all these fighters and see what's up. Okay, let's bring them back in. All right, let's talk about the Thanatos and the various things that you're going to be seeing now with its new support fighter buff. So this is my PvP fit. Let's talk about this Thanatos fit and what kind of stats you're going to be able to see from carriers in the new expansion Catalyst. Let's check this out. So this Thanatos is built for PvP. This Thanatos is built to get involved, built to go get involved and take stuff out. Let's show you what the heck we've got. So with the double Furbolgs, we're doing 3,000 DPS, 3,000 with the Sirens dedicated to lock stuff down. So this is already fantastic. 3K DPS on these, really, really great with our double drone damage amps and our 2 fighter support units in the highs. Because you want to use your command burst, you want to be able to use your command burst to make sure your entire fleet is getting the good stuff. I like the energizing charge to push our EHP even higher. 800,000 EHP on the Thanatos to be able to get it going. We do have a single drone nav computer to make your drones go faster. One of the most slept on modules for carriers, in my opinion, and in drone boats in general, is your ability to get your drones there and back again. For example, if your enemy is here, okay, and you're in this big capital ship, your fighters, if they're not on top of the enemy, they're taxiing, they're not applying, they're not doing damage. The moment they're there, they start doing stuff, and you want them to get there sooner. This is also a big deal because if your fighters take damage, if they're like hurt, you want them to get back to your capital ship sooner. You want them to get back there quicker. So this drone nav computer is going to give them 25% speed and is going to help them to get back faster. So this is going to increase your tracking of those drones and then the various tanks of your ship. I'm not going to explain a lot of this fit because the pilots that know how to fly carriers see this and understand. The thing you're really interested in is how much better are the support fighters with the buff, where you can go to the description and go to abilities. You can see with Galente Carrier 5, you're going to be able to scram out to 20 km. This is great, and you go much faster, 275% bonus to the support fighters. Let's do the math and let's see what that is. Okay, you can see with all, let's get our handy dandy calculator out here, with all the various buffs and look at the difference the drone nav computer does with all the other modules we have. So from 744 up to 1350. Let's do some math here. Let's do 1348 times 2.75, I think is what it was. 2.75, that is correct. We're up to 3,700 on this drone. This is as fast as an interceptor and can lock down stuff at 20 km away. That's pretty sick. And because there's 3 of them, each one is 1 warp core strength. That's as much as a faction scram. Think of this one as a faction scram, right? At range, that can go far and poke things and keep on getting it done. So that's pretty sick. We love to see it. Really cool stuff coming in from the Thani. Let's check out the Archon here next. Let's check out the Archon and see what else the Archon has. By the way, this fit will be in the description. We have a lot of fits for you in the description. And y'all, we have a ton of Catalyst stuff coming out right now. So make sure if you want all the fits that you see, you check it out. They're over on our Patreon for free. People hear Patreon and they hear, oh, it's paid. Nothing's paid. We've never paywalled something. It takes 2 clicks. Check it out. The fits will not fit in the YouTube description. Okay, so we have to house it on our Patreon like it's a blog. Definitely go check that out and enjoy it. We'll see you there. Have a good time. Copy and paste them for free. Okay, so now the Archon is going to buff the Cenobite. You can see that in the text here. And it's going to help the Newts. The Newts, my friends, are pretty scary on the Archon, honestly. And before, they were kind of a meme. There was a lot of people that would say things like, oh, why not just fly a curse? Or, you know, why not just fly any other ship that wasn't doing this? Not anymore, baby. The Cenobite with just the base buffs here are going to take this up to 99. And this is with Amar Carrier 5. And it's going to take the optimal range up another about 2.5k. Now remember, there's 3 of these fighters. So this one buff makes the Cenobites at Tech 2 as much as a heavy newt on a curse. And you're going to start seeing a theme here. Think of each of these fighter bays as one heavy module, as one big module on a curse. So if you have 2 of these, that's a pretty big deal. This means this is going to be the Marauder Killer Carrier now. You can, you know, newt something down. It can get even more out of it. And well, it doesn't look like it's that big of a buff. Remember, this is times 3 ships. So instead of it being 270, you're now doing 300. That's a decent buff every cycle. Every cycle is 6 seconds. You just suck them dry with the Cenobite and the Archon. Very big stuff coming in there. Let's check out the Chimera next. The Chimera is going to help your ECM focused stuff. And I believe that's the Scarab. Yeah. So the Scarab, let's check this puppy out. Scarab is going to get more optimal range from 75 out to 93. Now that's very important on an ECM ship because they're going to orbit stuff. They're going to get close. They're going to orbit them. But the thing about this is a lot of people like to just get the hell away from these guys when they're being ECM'd. So this is going to make that harder for that to happen. The sensor strength was increased at rank 5 Caldari Cruiser by 0.3. This puts it up to, instead of it being 12, it's going to be, well, let's, if I could pull up my handy dandy calculator here, 3.3, that's 13.2. So you gain about 1.2 on the strength times 3 fighters. That's a lot. This thing is going to be a daggum terror. And then if you get 2 of these, okay, that's times 2. This means it's going to be hitting every single cycle, 10 seconds, boop, boop. Now, it's not exactly this much strength. It's more like this again, because it's not one module hitting it. It's 12 things hitting you. So it's a little bit less consistent than, say, an ECM module with this much strength. But it's still a lot of little things you got to deal with to take them down and stop them from locking you. I do think this is going to be very intriguing. We'll have to do some more theory crafting and see how much this affects things as we move forward. So the last one we're going to be looking at is the Nidhogger. This is going to be the big one. Webs, ladies and gentlemen, webs. That's the Dromi coming in. The webs are going to be absolutely hitting optimal range, 20 km webs, big. And it gets you 16.5 up. Now, this means that this one thing, times 3, is about as good as a normal web. Okay, 50%. And if you get 2 of these groups, you're going to be able to hard lock down a ship. But again, it's really like 49% again because of the diminishing returns. So if you have 2 webs, that's kind of how this feels. If you're seeing the differences between past and present, the buffs to the base support fighters weren't very big. They're enough. But the fact that you can have multiple tubes now and have DPS and means this is a massive change for carriers and is going to make these a very large ship to use in 2025. Let me dock back up here and we can show you the rest of this stuff. Now, there's one module I didn't show you while I was undocked, and that is the brand new integrated sensor array. Now, they've changed the network sensor arrays. That was the old one. That is now only usable on supers. The integrated sensor array is going to be the new, think of it's a lesser network sensor array that is only going to be usable on carrier class ships. It doesn't require fuel. Big deals. No, it's not a siege module per se. Another reason I think that carriers and marauders should kind of be considered in a similar class. It's like carriers are smaller capital ships, kind of like how orcas are, you know? So this one doesn't need fuel. Its conduit jumping does. We're going to get to that. This one is going to just be able to be turned on and has a 2-minute cycle. This 2 changes of a lack of fuel and 2-minute cycles means that this is going to be a sizable change for things. You're going to be able to use this more often and have it not just be something that's like, oh, I'm locked in. You're still locked in, but it's more of a soft lock-in. Less monetary input and less time locked into grid gets it done. So what does this do? Well, it makes you easier to heal, just like the old one does. Means you can scan stuff down easy. Check this out. You're going to look right here. Okay, this one module means you don't need a SIBO on this ship. That was one of the big things that I had to do with my other carrier fits, was I had to make sure I had a sensor booster on there to lock stuff fast. Not so anymore. You can, over 400 is pretty good at locking down cruisers and the like. Obviously, you're still going to have problems locking down frigates. That's just how that goes. You can't warp when you activate this, so you're grid locked, ready to go. Your capacitor need for your active heals is way less. That's good. I like using this one just because it's more heals, be able to get your stuff back up. You can do what you want. Your warp scramble strength goes up to 100. Yeah, if you have a warp scram in your mids, the warp scram strength goes to 100. Carriers can now hard lock bigger ships, hard lock any ship. It kind of becomes a bigger bigger heavy assault cruiser, if you're, heavy interdictor cruiser. If you're really trying to get stuff done, this is a big change. That's gonna alone make it something that makes people go, how can I break this? And we're gonna have to do some more testing. Finally, a target range bonus. You can target out to 4,500 when you activate the integrated sensor array. Watch what happens when I turn this off. You can see it goes down to 375. So carriers used to be able to, as a base, lock on stuff from further away. Now they've nerfed the base carrier. You can't lock on stuff from super far away, from thousands away. You must activate the integrated sensor array to get that long lock times. This is to combat what they call skynetting. This is to make it so you have to commit to on-grid presence and you can't just like lock somebody up and warp away whenever you want. With this being said, so I like this change. This is a W change. It means you have to choose what you're going to do with your carrier. Are you going to commit to the grid and fight and lock something far away? Or are you going to, like, you know, try to do other various things? Finally, and this is not something you should sleep on, the sensor strength has been increased. This makes you harder to ECM. This makes it so that you can see your targeting strength right here. It makes you harder to be jammed. Okay, so they cannot give you the raspberry if you do this very, very well. Okay. Spaceball enjoyers, thank you very much. All right, so really good, awesome change on the integrated sensor array. I like that carriers are getting their own specific thing. Pretty sick seeing those small things. So this ship is not just for action. This ship has been changed to be a proper carrier. Yes, the devs have leaned into the backpack meta that has been used for the various years, and you're now going to be able to jump around space better with the carrier. Let me show you what I mean. We already can conduit jump with the carrier. Conduit jumping means any ships around the carrier, you can jump to another area of space. You can literally bring fleets with you. You can already move your buddies with you to the front lines or take your multi-box ships out with you into other areas of space. Now, the ship maintenance bay on this thing has been increased to 2 million M3. This means it's as big as the bulkhead. Bowhead? Bowhead. I always mix those up. It's now as big as the bowhead, and basically this change means there's no reason to fly the bowhead anywhere but high sec. It's just a hauler in high sec only to be able to get your ships, because now this carrier has... Why would you fly the bowhead if you could fly a carrier which has teeth, which has defense, and has other things you can use, and the bowhead is just like, it can tank stuff. You know, the bowhead is basically only for high sec as of this change. 2 million means you can fit a crap ton of stuff in there. For example, let's see. I can't fit in there because it has other ammo in there, but you can fit 3 Odysseus's plus other stuff. You can fit frigates. I know it's not enough space, thank you. You can fit a ton of frigates. You can fit multiple fitted marauders. You can do a lot with this big maintenance bay. Basically, Reed, you can take your entire setup and move it other places. The ship maintenance bay is only for fitted ships, only for assembled ships. So understand that and make sure you can only take ammo with it as well. Because it's a ship maintenance bay, we say this in every single one of our videos because this is an unknown thing. There's actually an aura around the carriers, okay, that you can fit. This is supposed to be a drawn Thanatos. It's terrible, whatever. There's an aura around the Thanatos that if it's in space, other ships can use it as a refitting service as long as they're within the range. It becomes a mobile depot for all of your multi-boxing ships if you're in a dangerous areas of space and cannot dock up, like wormhole space, like contested nullsec where there is no NPC stations. Okay, so remember that. That's pretty sick. That alone means this is now a better backpack than you could ever want. So the fleet hangar, by the way, is also, this is not a recent buff, but it is big enough to bring a POS. Just throwing that out there. This can now be, and indeed, the change to the ship maintenance bay means this is now your mobile base. Carriers are now your mobile base. Let me show you a good idea for you to take out into dangerous areas of space with a slightly different carrier fit. This is what I'm calling a garrison fit, a mobile base fit that you can use not for combat. You can always refit it into combat, but you can use it to traverse New Eden in style. Let's talk about it. First, you're going to have a cloak mainlined. This is not for combat. This is for going to a safe and cloaking up. You are going to be able to bring the Expedition Command Burst. Yes, this is the new command burst that you can use to make your D-scan range increase to scout some more stuff down. Bring a smart bomb so you can take any pesky frigates that land on you. I like fitting my garrisons, my backpacks, assuming I'm going to get hopped on. So you're going to see a lot of, because that's what happens. You're going to see a get out of jail free card just in case like one interdictor's locking you down, right? And you can blip away with a microfield jump drive, and there's a ton of tank pushing you up to over 1 million EHP plus your active tank, and you can scan stuff down. But that's not the best feature of this ship. It's the afterburner. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no need to fit eye stabs on your carrier ever. I'm tired of seeing some of you fit inertia stabs on your carriers. It's ridiculous. I don't like it. You don't need it. Why would you do that when you can fit tank and have one afterburner be able to fulfill your faster align time? Let me show you what I mean. Let's warp to this keep star really, really fast. Let's warp at 100. Now, many of you have seen our afterburner pulse trick in other videos. And put simply, what this is using a of-level afterburner. This is a capital tier afterburner. You're going to be able to align and warp out to something within the cycle time of the afterburner itself. You can see it's based on your afterburner skill. At rank 5, it takes me 15 seconds to cycle this afterburner there. So what you're going to do is you're going to warp to a nice spot because it has a big booty. It's going to be hard to warp out. You're going to quickly stop the ship. A big tip for you, how to quickly stop any capital ship because it has such a big booty, so thick, a lot of inertia, is instead of just pressing stop ship, double click backwards. You're going to see the ship align that way slightly. Once it's a little bit close to 0, within 10, now you're going to stop your ship. Now it's going to be a little bit there, but it's mostly stopped. It's going to help you to stop much faster. That matters when you're in a PvP situation getting hunted down. I'm going to show you how to instantly get back to that spot that I was aligned to. Ready? You're going to right-click this, warp, and then once you're warping, tap and pulse your afterburner one time to let the cycle go down, and you're going to see once this goes 15 seconds, the warp time is going to pulse back up, and we are going to instantly warp. This is faster than any eye stab can do, and there we go. Boom. 15-second align time on your carrier. Isn't that sick? All of you can use this. There's no reason to have inertia stabs in your lows when you can instead do something like that to have not instant carrier warp speed, but goodness gracious, it's much faster than normal. If you want even faster align time, we have an advanced hauling guide that shows you what I call tugboat alts. And in fact, why don't I include that in the description of this video? Because you can web yourself and have a sub 2-second align time for all capital ships. I'll include that fit in the description for you as well. I recommend the Hugin and the Rapier for this because you can absolutely lock down the ship at range and make sure the stuff's going. If you're in dangerous areas of space, the rapier is going to be better because of its covert ops cloak. You can still double web something. It's a similar principle to what you just saw, but instead of using an onboard module on the Thanatos, you're using your alt to web yourself mid-warp to get the speed going. Okay, so I've got fits for all the carriers for you. One of each. I've got an Archon, a Chimera, and a Nidhogger. I have each fit for you. Mobile base fits for each and every one of you will be in the descriptions. All you have to do is click it. It takes 2 clicks to sign up. It's totally free. And y'all, this change represents not just a buff to carriers. This represents a different direction that the devs are taking it in. You're going to see more specialization from carriers in the future. And these changes, the mobile base, the increase to combat, potency and PvP ability means I think that expert pilots need carriers now. This ship was you can sort of have capital ships if you want. If you have over 50 million skill points and you want to get into capital ships, I now recommend carriers first. For the amount of utility they give you, I would like you to be able to bring your whole base somewhere new whenever you want with this ship, and to be able to do capital level PvP, PvE combat if you want more guides like this for Catalyst. That's this playlist right here. Check them out. Go check out the other giveaways there as well, and sub right here for the best Eve guides. We'll see ya in the next video, y'all. I'm excited to take out Thanatos. Should we continue Thany Thursdays? Let's see about it.